Welcome to another theme park list video. In this video I will be listing my favourite coasters from Germany. I've ridden most of these in this list, but not all of them, so just keep that in mind. But I'm trying to give my best judgment, so please respect my opinion. I have done these kind of videos before. I did one on the Netherlands, France and the UK. I would normally ask you to watch them, but please don't.
Taking up the #1 spot is the Octonaut roller coaster.
So these will be, in my opinion, Germany's top 10 roller coasters. But before we start, let's go through some honourable mentions. I don't know why we're on Blue Fire is not an honourable mention. The honourable mentions are Woden Timber Coaster at Europa Park, Flug der Dämonen at Heide Park, Star Trek Operation Enterprise at Movie Park Germany, Fluch von Novgorod at Hansa Park, and Dynamite at Freiside Park Plön. So number 10 is Karacho at Tripsdrill, and this is a really good Ghost Star Infinity coaster. It was the second to be ever built. I really like its steampunk theme and it's got a great soundtrack. It's also very well kept, it's very tidy, some really nice scenery around the ride. Unfortunately, the ride layout does lack airtime. There weren't really any moments at all, maybe apart from an indoor drop. But on the other hand, it does have lots of hang time. A lot of the inversions do go very slowly, so you've got lots of hang time. And this is with lap bars, which can sometimes be quite tight, but overall they're fairly comfortable. But for me, one of the best parts of the ride is the dive loop, which is towards the end, and that doesn't give much hang time at all. It's just pure whip. You can almost get airtime on that. Overall, the ride isn't the most extreme, but it is fun and it's also pretty smooth. At number 9 is Black Mamba at Phantasialand, and I understand that this may be a bit low down in the list for some of you. I think if I got a chance to ride it on the front row, then possibly it would definitely be higher up. But I rode it further towards the back. It's very intense, a lot more intense than I was expecting, and you really can't see where you're going at all unless you're on the front row, I guess. But again, I didn't ride it on the front row. It has a really good selection of inversions. I'm pretty sure it's got 2 corkscrews, a vertical loop, a 0G roll and a junior Immelman. Most of the inversions are very whippy, especially towards the back, because I was on the back each time I rode it. I think I got row 7 and 6. While the queue time is usually quite short, the ride layout certainly isn't. I found it to have a really long layout, which just keeps giving you lots of intense turns, almost verging on greying out at points. It was a little bit rattly, to be honest, but not that bad really. If you think Nemesis is rough, then maybe you'll find this rough as well, but I don't really think it was that rough. Next up is a very controversial opinion, and coming in at number 8 is Sky Scream at Holiday Park. This is cloned very widely, but it's the only Skyrocket 2 that I've ridden, and it did surprise me. I really think this is underrated. It honestly packs so much in such a compact space. It's got hang time, it's got air time, it's got positive GeForce. Some of the pull-outs whilst you go through the station are really intense. It's also got a 0G moment, which was surprisingly fun. Sky Scream is also the perfect example of how to do budget theming. Basically got a scare maze in its queue line, which sets a really tense atmosphere and really builds up to getting on the ride. Next up is Colossos Kampf der Giganten at Heide Park. I've not ridden this Intamin prefabricated wooden coaster, but it definitely looks like a solid airtime filled ride. This ride had a fairly long period where it was standing but not operating. It has since been retracked to make it a lot smoother than before, but I've heard that it also now has less airtime than before. Even still, when this ride warms up, I've heard it can deliver some really strong flow to airtime, which is sustained. It does unfortunately seem to fall under the category of wooden coasters that don't feel like wooden coasters because of how smooth it is, but to be honest, that's not really a massive problem. Towards the end of the ride layout, the ride goes through a wooden structure, which is very similar to the Wicker Man at Alton Towers. However, I think Heide Park have pulled this off better. Number 6 is Silver Star at Europa Park, and this is one of the original B&M hyper coasters, and this thing is absolutely amazing. The ride layout consists of many airtime hills which give really good sustained airtime. Most of it is floater, but you do get the odd moment of ejector towards the end of the ride. I've heard some people complain that this ride is rattly, and I did definitely notice a very strong rattle at the bottom of the first drop, but it almost feels like an intense kind of rattle, and I didn't mind it very much at all. Very good coaster. Now for the top 5, starting with Hals-über-Kopf at Tripsdrill. And on the theming side of things, I don't have anything to say because the theming's not complete, but I'm sure that when it is complete, Tripsdrill will do a brilliant job with it. and this ride will look absolutely stunning. Something that you don't always expect on suspended coasters is airtime, and there are plenty of airtime moments on this ride. It's also quite intense at points, and some of the inversions are really fun. They do give a little bit of hang time in a way. It's just so smooth, and the lap bars really help make it a good coaster. From one next gen Vekoma to the next, F.L.Y at Phantasialand is the 4th best coaster in Germany in my opinion. This has opened very recently. I did unfortunately visit Phantasialand too early to ride it, but it looks really good. The layout does seem a bit awkward in some places, I've heard. The way that intensity pushes you into the restraints instead of the seat, but that might not be a bad thing for some of you. However, the ride just looks so good, interweaving in this whole Ruckberg area, which looks absolutely amazing. And it does have some good airtime, and airtime on flying coasters is such a good feeling. I remember getting amazing airtime on Manta's Pretzel Loop, which of course is not a Vekoma, but I'm sure that Vekoma will have done a really good job with this one, and I'm sad that I've not ridden it. Number 3 is Taron, also at Phantasialand, and Klugheim is an amazing immersive themed area. However, I think Phantasialand have one-upped themselves, and Ruckberg looks better now, but this does not take away from this coaster. I do think Taron is still superior to F.L.Y. In terms of intensity and airtime, I would definitely say that Taron is pretty similar to F.L.Y, and probably smoothness as well. Taron is super smooth, the restraints are amazing. For me, the thing that makes Taron superior to F.L.Y is just its speed sensation. I understand how F.L.Y you're flying past buildings, but Taron, the launches just seem so much stronger. Like I say, I've not ridden F.L.Y, but Taron, I know how good those launches are. The number 2 spot goes to Der Schwur des Kärnan at Hansa Park, and since I haven't ridden this one, it was very difficult to rank it, but I knew it must be somewhere very close to the top. The ride has a vertical drop, some pretty good airtime moments, but for me, the overall best thing about this ride is its intensity and flawless pacing. It has quite a lot of speed going into the brakes, which makes me feel like they could have made the layout a bit longer, but I honestly don't think that's an issue at all, because some people love the consistent speed throughout this ride, and if it had a bit of a slower section towards the end, maybe it would have even made the ride worse. Kärnan also has a couple of indoor surprises, which I'm not going to reveal for spoiler reasons, but they definitely make this ride better, and this ride is very close to the top of my bucket list. I've really got to ride it soon. However, unsurprisingly, number 1 is Expedition GeForce at Holiday Park, and wow, this is an absolute masterpiece of a ride. Starting with the first drop, which gives amazing airtime combined with laterals. Some of the overbanks could be a little bit more intense, I guess, but they are still definitely fun. This ride has an amazing setting in the woods. But for me, definitely the best thing about this ride is the airtime. It has many hills, all but one are perfectly shaped so that they give the maximum amount of sustained airtime. It's all ejector pretty much. It's just so fun. From what I've ridden, the only ride that could compete airtime wise with this one is Untamed, but then again, Untamed's airtime is nowhere near as sustained as this, and I don't think any RMC will be able to have as much sustained airtime as this, even Seal Vengeance or anything, and that's why after almost 20 years of operation, Expedition GeForce still sits as a contender for the best roller coaster on the planet. So those were my top 10 roller coasters in Germany. Please feel free to post your own lists in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed. And that's all from me. So goodbye guys. See you in the next video. Bye.